Okay. See, I've got two other exterior doors. I'm just going to unlock this. I'm not going to go out it. We're going to go out over to the other side. And these two particular doors have the same types of hinges. Okay? Same type of hinges. Look at this. See there? And, okay, first I got to unlock that and open it. This door is opening and closing just fine. And I'm looking at that and everything's good. That's because I made some adjustments to it. And before, Mommy wasn't too happy with it because the door was sagging. Again, it was sagging down so low that it kept hitting here, and you'd have to push it really hard to get it in there and kind of lift up on the handle a little bit. And then to open it, you'd have to kind of tug on this kind of hard to get it going. So she wanted me to fix this, and I thought, okay, no problem. I'll just go ahead and do the same thing I just did with that other door, right? Well, look at this here. First off, see how this is bent, bowed way out? Oh, there was only so far that this hinge could unscrew before it started hitting the hinge back here. And it looked like somebody had tried to adjust that in the past, and it looked like the door, you know, these doors are heavy. This is an 8-foot door, and it's solid. The wood is solid around the edges, plus it's got a dual paned piece of glass here, which makes it even heavier. And you've got a lot of weight up here wanting to sag this door. So it looks like somebody tried to make the adjustments over there, and they weren't able to go any further, and the door was still sagging. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And this hinge wasn't actually working very well, and I think maybe the threads are outside of this, and it wasn't allowing it to suck over. And so I tried the best I could with that hinge there, and I tried this one over here, moving that over the best I could. And I adjusted this as far as it could go, and it still wasn't far enough. Well, what did I do after that? You see this hinge? You see the hinge on the actual door jamb. See how it's kind of coming out at an angle? This hinge right here. You see how it's sticking out here and it's flush over there? Trust me, just that much will help move the door over at the bottom. So that's what I did. I took this hinge out, and I put two little screws in here on the back side so you didn't see it, and I let them stick out from the wood just a little bit, and that was my little shim, and I screwed it back. And I made a video of that whole thing. I had to take the trim, this weather stripping off, and I've got a video of that on my channel on how I went about to fix this particular door. Okay, so which meant, see this gap here? This gap was a lot tighter initially before I kind of cocked the hinge out kind of at a slight angle, and I made it go over that way further over here. Okay, and it still wasn't enough, and I needed to do something here. And I thought, okay, what can I do to get this door over further? See this big gap here? See how big the gap is? Well, that means the door could still go that way, but it's all tight here. How can I get it over there further? You know, I couldn't do it with the hinge screw. And see how much of a gap there is there? I mean, if I moved it over to the right further, I've got a big old gap there. That tells me whoever installed this door, they did not install it exactly proper, because with this door sagging to the left, this gap over here on the left should hardly be anything. And then you only have a gap here. So I thought, okay, what can I do to move that over that way? Because I wanted to take the top edge of the door and slide it that way. And I did it as much as I could with that hinge screw, and the hinge screw wasn't really working too well. You can see how it's bowed this out, and the screw is pushed up right tight to that. I could not loosen that screw any further, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? So I took this hinge and I moved it, I flopped it out of the way, and then I drilled a hole right here and up there, and pre-drilled with the little drill bit into the wood that's behind the door jamb. And I used 3-inch long sheetrock screws into there, and I sucked this edge, this part of the door frame, door jamb, over that way, and it only moved less than a 1/16 of an inch, but that helped suck that over. Can you see if that sucks this part over that way? It only had to go a little bit. That would raise up this side of the door because it's attached to this hinge. So that pushed this side up further. And I pushed that as far as I could. And see, you can only do it so much because the door trim is here, and I can tell. See how much door jamb is here? I mean, it's not much. It's maybe 1/4 of an inch. And up in here, it's just shy of 1/4 inch right there, because this got kind of pushed in a little bit. I was lucky I didn't crack the caulking or anything. And that helped push that over. What else could I have done had that not have gone over far enough? Well, I could have taken the door hinge off all the way, open the door all the way, prop the door open, put a block of wood there, take the hinge, flop it out of the way, and then I could have taken a chisel and I could have chiseled out the edge of the wood on the inside of there, maybe a 1/16 of an inch deep over here to nothing in this whole area. And that could have taken the hinge and flopped it and moved it over. The hinge would have actually pushed over closer to the door trim. And see, with this type of trim, I've got maybe almost 3/16 of an inch there. I could have went over a 1/16 of an inch or a strong 1/16, knowing that when I put the hinge, screwed it back all on there, that this hinge knuckle would still be shy of this edge of the door jamb by a 1/16 of an inch. And that could have pushed it over that much further had I needed it, but I didn't need it, did I? Okay. And that was raised up high enough to get over that edge and all that. And see my gap now? I got it to close. It's not hitting at the bottom or anything. And then I had to make some adjustments to get this to lock, and everything's clicking in just fine now. So that's the stuff I had to do for this particular door. Now, I told you I'd give you some bonus material, and here's your extra bonus material. Was I had to work on this exterior door too. Same type of thing. In this case, this door opens out. I don't know why they had the door opening out. I would have swung it in. Most of your exterior doors swing into your house like this one here. Okay? But we've got 2 exterior doors that swing out onto decks, and it's just something they decided to do. And the hinges are on the outside, and with the hinges on the outside, they had to use an NRP non-removable hinge pin. Here's your hinge pin, and there's a little set screw right there, and your pin has a notch in it right here, and you throw the pin down, and then you tighten this screw all the way, and it goes right into where that slot is, and it keeps somebody from outside popping your hinge pin out to get in your door. Okay, so whenever you have an exterior door, make sure you get the NRP hinges. Okay, they cost a little bit more, but they're well worth it. This particular door only has 1 NRP hinge, this middle one. I would have done probably all 3 of these hinges, or maybe the top hinge and the middle hinge, or maybe the top hinge and the bottom hinge if I wanted to do a cheap screw and only do 2 NRP hinges instead of 3. But they only did 1. They did the middle one. Okay, there's no rhyme or reason. They could have done the top one, as you know, the top one only, and not the 2 bottom ones or something. Okay, so that really doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's just something I'm telling you. And on this particular door, we have the same type of thing. Okay, we've got the screws in there, and when I looked at this door initially, the door was making a god-awful sound at the bottom because the threshold, the door shoe on here, was rubbing on the metal threshold they had here. And you can see where the little lines are, where it's been scratching this. Okay, so it's been sagged and rubbing for a long time, and I would just push the door in, and we don't really use this door much, and mommy was telling me, hey, can you fix this one? I'm like, oh brother, I know that's gonna be a piece of work and kind of hard to do. But before, I could only open it or close it about that much before it started scraping on the bottom. The harder I pushed, then I finally could get it, or lifting up on this door a little bit and closing. Every time you open the door, it's the same thing. And so I thought, okay, let's fix this. Let's fix this. And so with the door like that, with the door sagging, I looked at this, and I had plenty of room. So with the door sagging at the bottom, you've got to raise the bottom up, and you've got to push this over that way further. So, but then see how big the gap is right there, right now? Look how big that gap is. I didn't want to make that gap anymore because this door is an exterior door, and the weather stripping only sticks out so far. I didn't want the edge of the door to get out here too far and break the seal of the weather stripping. Okay? And so I didn't want to make that. I didn't want to make that gap much more than it is now. So I really didn't want to adjust this. I could have adjusted this a little bit more to the left, because see, there's just a slight gap there. I could have sucked that together. That would have helped raise this up, but then my gap would have been bigger. Okay? And that could have possibly raised this a little bit, but see where the gap is? That gap's not that big. And if you see in between the door and the threshold and the door jamb, there's a little piece of weather stripping here, which I thought was kind of slick. They put one there, and they also put one here on this side. And sometimes they do that. Lots of times you may only see the weather stripping go all the way down and there's nothing right there. Okay? But that gives you a little bit more air protection. And you see how it's just barely missing as it is. And so had I have moved this door over to the right any further, I would have started hitting that little piece. I would have had to have cut that off, and it would have gotten a little bit closer. It's pretty close as it is. Yes, I could have went that way, maybe a 16th. That would have helped raise this bottom up just a little bit. And you know, as it was, see how big the gap was? I screwed it, and I couldn't really tighten it too much more than that as it was, and I was getting out of adjustment. I could not adjust this much more that way as it was anyways. That's because whoever installed this door, again, didn't have these particular types of hinges with that adjustment screw adjusted properly before they installed it. But I can tell that they didn't really have this square and plumb on the exterior door jamb the way it was. So no matter what I do, it's never going to be perfect. Okay, so I thought, okay, what else can I do? So what I ended up doing is on the bottom of this, where the feelers are, the rubber, there's a hard piece of plastic. This piece here is a hard piece. Then there was also another one right here. That stuck down just as far as this side. And that's the side that was hitting and rubbing on there. And when I closed the door, I knew that this plastic, this hard plastic on the outside, was not hitting that. So I didn't have to do anything with that. So yeah, I got a reamer bit, and I cut that plastic all the way across there, got down on my belly, on my side, and did the best I could with that until it wasn't hitting anymore. And that's how I fixed this door. And now this door is working fine too. So see, every time you look at a door, it's not always going to be the exact same thing, especially if you don't have this type of hinge. If you don't have this type of hinge, you're going to have to do things differently. And of course, hey, if you look on my channel, on my YouTube channel, I've got, oh, I don't know, 20, 25 different videos on how to fix a sagging door. And most of the doors that I've fixed are interior doors. There's a couple front doors that I've done, and none of the other ones, well, I've just have put these other two videos on how to fix this door, what I did to fix that door. And I've got that on my channel, but all the other ones are just regular hinges that don't look like this, and you've got to adjust things differently. But hey, you know what? On every particular door, there's a way that you can make adjustments. Just check out my channel, and if you can't find them on my channel, they may not be close to where you find this particular video, but if you can't find it, you can go on my actual channel. Once you're on my channel, go up to the search page, or the search box up at the top somewhere. I don't know where they have them now, but you go and find the search box on my actual YouTube channel and type in how to fix a sagging door repair, something like that, and hopefully you'll get a whole section of doors that will pop up, and those will be my videos. You can also try my playlists. Go to the playlists and look on there, type in doors, sagging doors, or you'll look through my playlists. I've got a whole slew of playlists of different things. Go down to the one on doors, open that up, and there'll be all kinds of things on fixing doors, fixing doorknobs, adjusting door strikes, deadbolts, hinges, all kinds of stuff. Greasing hinge pins, all that kind of stuff. So lots of things you can find on my channel. Now, how much did I just save on fixing this particular door myself, or any of the other doors that I've shown you? You know, if you were to call a door company out here, they'd probably charge you a service fee to come out, maybe $75 to $95, and then so much for the first 15 minutes, half hour, and that kind of thing. It could have cost maybe $150 to fix this door, or one of the other doors that I've shown you on how to fix a sagging door. And once you watch my videos, you can see, hey, an average Joe like me can fix that, so can you. And start putting that money back into your wallet. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos.